What's going on, everybody? Good afternoon. I figure now is a pretty good time to do a little bit of a news roundup, a little Seattle Seahawks update on some various topics, just some things that I think are worth talking about on this Monday morning as we process this hangover. Mostly we have injury news, we have some comments from the coaches that I thought were at least a little bit interesting, and then we've got some things happening around the NFL that have some degree of, at the very least, relevance to the Seahawks. First going to start with Brady Henderson here talking about injury stuff. McDonald said the Seahawks are confident DK Metcalf will be back after this week's bye, but he stopped short of declaring it. Quote was, "We're working through it and he's doing everything he can to get back as soon as possible, but having the extra week will definitely help." I was pretty confident he was going to play yesterday and he didn't, so I'm not as confident as I should be he'll be back after the bye, but it would be very weird if DK Metcalf didn't come back after the bye because remember, just a week ago he was listed as doubtful. Now, maybe he's backslid a little bit over the course of the last week, but if he's not back out there for the Niners game, I mean, number one, we're dead, right? That's obvious. But also, that indicates there's something really serious going on with that injury that the team refuses to talk about. And being strung along is starting to get annoying at that point, right? Because you didn't put him on IR. And at that point, if he misses the Niners game, he probably should have been put on IR. But yeah, so DK Metcalf expected to be back as of right now, but not guaranteed. And I guess nothing in this life is guaranteed, but it would have been nice to get a little bit of a guarantee here, or something closer to it. No updates on Kayvon Wallace, who I didn't even notice got hurt at the end of that game. George Fant, also no updates on him. I mean, we need George Fant out there because Gerald is just that bad, but man, if Fant can't make it more than 20 snaps without getting hurt, then what's the point? As for Abe Lucas being ready to play after the bye, he only said there is a chance, which doesn't sound great. It doesn't sound super optimistic, right? He said there is a chance about Abe Lucas being ready to play. Now, that could just be Mike McDonald not wanting to give anything away and wanting to be vague as possible. I will admit that's been his modus operandi so far, but this is not the statement we needed on Abe Lucas going into this bye week. We needed something to instill confidence. This does not. This instills the opposite. This makes it sound like we're buying a lottery ticket here. But we'll find out over the next couple weeks. And if he's not back by the end of the bye week, that's probably it for his Seattle Seahawk career. So that's most of the injury stuff. McDonald was asked about Geno Smith, and McDonald's quote was, "We have all the confidence in the world in Geno." Had noted in an earlier answer that the team needs to help him more. Which, I mean, this is what I'm talking about, guys. I said this over and over again in my post-game video yesterday. I've said it earlier this year. Right now, with DK Metcalf and Noah Fant out, and by the way, no update on Noah Fant regarding his injury, although I'm pretty feeling okay he'll be back after the bye week. We didn't see a comment on it. But right now, with DK and Noah Fant out with injuries, there is no team in the NFL doing a worse job of supporting their quarterback than the Seattle Seahawks. I firmly believe that. Except for maybe a team like the Raiders. And even the Raiders, I think you could argue, are doing a little bit of a better job. And that is why I say it's really hard to evaluate Geno. And the people who are just trying to evaluate Geno on the surface level, you're doing it wrong. And if you actually think that Sam Howell, who is, by the way, the only quarterback in NFL history to get sacked 65 times and throw more than 20 interceptions in the same season, in the one season he got to start, is going to go out there and do even a tiny bit better, then you're high on something. You're high on Sam Howell's supply. We've seen what Sam Howell does when he's not in a very good situation. And this situation is worse. We have no receivers that can consistently separate with speed. We have no dynamic playmakers on the outside. We have nobody who can push the ball down the field. We can't run the ball. We have no offensive line. This is not a situation where a quarterback is going to be able to succeed. Look at what's going on in Dallas. Dallas, basically the same thing. They have one superstar receiver. They have a decent tight end. Their offensive line sucks this year. And Dak Prescott, who just got the biggest contract of any quarterback in NFL history on a per-year basis, he can't do anything. Dak Prescott almost won MVP last year. Now his stats suck because the team isn't supporting him anymore. Seattle, at this moment, is probably doing a worse job. Maybe even with Metcalf back, they're doing a worse job than Dallas. And I'm happy that McDonald can at least see that. Now, that doesn't mean that Geno's the long-term answer, because at the end of the day, sometimes you just say, look, we're not ready to have a good quarterback on this team yet because we have the good quarterback and we're still not winning. Maybe you at a certain point say, we got to step back so we can step forward. But if you think another quarterback's just going to come in here and start playing good, that's not how football works. Unless the team hates Geno so much they refuse to play hard for him but would play hard for somebody else. Got this from Corbin concerning Christian Haynes, which is a very damning comment. Mike McDonald says Christian Haynes was inactive because Jalen Sundle and Olu Oluwatimi offered more positional flexibility, but he also said players who take a step back won't be active. That's from Corbin. But the quote is from McDonald. So the implication is clear. Christian Haynes took a step back this week. I don't know if it was the last game or during practice, but he's saying he's getting worse. That is not what I needed to hear. Christian Haynes is an older rookie. He's 24 going on 25. He was, a 5-year starter in college? He needs to not be some developmental piece that has no idea what he's doing right now. That, I don't want to panic yet, but I think it's time to be a little bit concerned here with Christian Haynes. Because the indication right now is he does not belong on a football field. And it'd be one thing if he was a 21-year-old with 2 years starting experience. He's not. If he was a 21-year-old with 2 years experience, I'd be telling everybody to calm down and chill. But I can't do that with Christian Haynes because he was supposed to be ready to go out of the box. And look, again, if the plan is to convert him to left guard next year or the year after, awesome. That could work out really well, but we don't know if that's the case. We have no way of knowing. So I don't like this comment at all. It's time to be concerned. I'm not saying we panic, but we need to be concerned. Little bit of non-Seahawks news that feels semi-related to the Seahawks that I want to touch on before we end this video here today. By the way, if you haven't already, please like this video. Sub to the channel if you're new. 3 to 5 videos on the Seahawks a day. Click the bell for notifications. Become a channel member for $2 a month. Both best ways to help support the channel. Baron Browning gets traded from the Denver Broncos to the Arizona Cardinals. I think the Cardinals gave up like a 6th round pick. Now, Baron Browning's not all that great. He has 0 sacks this year. Hasn't really played a ton. He's had some decent years in the past. He's, a decent rotational edge. But how gross is it that we've allowed the Arizona Cardinals to get to the point where they're now trade deadline buyers, right? That team was about ready to get in the coffin. And now they're here with a winning record, top of the division, and they're making trades to make themselves better. I mean, I don't have much to say about the trade specifically because it's an okay player for a 6th round pick. I mean, that's fine. That's whatever. And the Broncos get a 6th round pick out of a guy who was about to leave anyway. But how gross is it that the Seahawks have allowed a team like Arizona to now feel like they got a chance to make a run at things? I'm not happy. And the Niners and Rams have something to do with that too. Don't get me wrong, but the Seahawks, they were in the catbird seat a little bit ago. And final thing I want to talk about real quick here is the news out of Tennessee from Rappaport. Quandre Diggs has suffered a season-ending Lisfranc injury that will require surgery. So Quandre Diggs, his season is over, and quite possibly his career. This is another devastating injury. He had a devastating injury at the end of 2021. His play seems to have fallen off a little bit in the aftermath of that injury. Now he's got this one. You have to wonder if that's it for Quandre Diggs. He was a great Seahawks player for the last half decade or so, right? He came here in 2019 and he played really good football for this team over most of his tenure here. It got a little bit messy at the end, but he was maybe our most consistent player from that 2019 to 2021 range. And it's sad to see him go out like this, and I'm wishing him the best, hoping things work out, hoping he saved his money. but that might be the end of the line for Quandre Diggs. Pro Bowler, made some great plays as a Seahawk, and it was just time to move on, and it might be time for him to move on from the sport. So, wishing you the best, Quandre Diggs. It sucks to see, but I'd be surprised if there's much left in this guy's NFL career. Always sucks to see because he's not super old. He's a little old, but he's not that old to where this needed to be a done deal yet, but this injury may push it. All right. I'll see you guys later. Go Hawks. Just wanted to round things up a little bit here as we're getting some NFL news. I will see you guys later. Go Hawks.